Olá, meus pequenas abóboras, eu sou o Ato IV, sejam bem-vindos a mais um vídeo de Genshin parte no nosso lindo e maravilhoso arco de Fontaine. Se você não assistiu nenhum dos episódios, clica no cardzinho que tá aparecendo aqui no canto direito da tela e vai lá assistir. Estamos terminando praticamente o último episódio do quarto ato. E bem, após a família do Linha quase ir de ralo, nós finalmente conseguimos salvar todo mundo, está todo mundo bem. Mas ainda temos algumas coisas a entender, já afinal de contas essa reunião ainda não acabou. E eu tô sentindo que tá vindo bomba aí. Então se você não é inscrito aqui no canal, já aproveita e se inscreve e ativa o sininho, deixa o like no comentário porque isso ajuda muito. E compartilha com alguém que você tem certeza que vai adorar esse tipo de conteúdo. Bem, sem mais delongas, bora pro vídeo. Tá acordado.
He's awake. Fremine, how do you feel?
We're all here. The infirmary at the fortress of Maripede, Mr. Fremine. And you are no longer in any... How do you feel? Don't push yourself if you're not feeling up to it.
Traveler. Paimon. It's been so long.
Muito tempo.
The sea. There's something wrong with the sea.
Shh, it's okay. We can talk about it after you've recovered.
No, listen to me. This is really serious. There's primordial seawater mixed into the regular seawater. I don't know why it's there, but no one should touch it.
O que aconteceu depois que você entrou nos canos?
Right, the pipes. It's all coming back to me now. I'm in. Seems like this pipe hasn't been used in a long time. It looks abandoned. Where could Master Child be?
Testezinho com Fremine. Ai, um rombo, nem vi. Como é que o Fremine voltou? Ele não voltou, né? Ele ficou lá morto. Clorinha teve trabalho de vir aqui embaixo buscar ele.
This is where the water starts. Master Child probably dived into the water.
Vamos lá. Cara, a ambientação do mapa é fabuloso, surreal, é muito bonito isso daqui, cara.
The vegetation here is a bit more sparse. These traces aren't natural. A person must have left them, and recently. I should be going. There are traces here too. I need to keep going.
Não tem muito pra onde ir, né?
The traces are gone, but I don't see where he could have gone from here. Wait, what the? My heart is racing, and it's getting harder and harder to breathe. What's... No good. I have to get back. They still don't know anything about what's going on. If I turn back right now, I should still be able to make it.
Meu Deus. Volta, volta, volta! Nem pense em parar. Minha vida tá sendo drenada, socorro!
I can't die here. This... I have to push on.
Clorinha é o timing certo dela.
So, in other words, the trail you were following vanished, and you had no idea where Master Child could have gone. But there was also...
That's right. I tried my best to swim back, but I had already put some distance between myself and the fortress, and I just couldn't find the strength to keep going.
Miss Clarande brought you back. but we also don't know why she just suddenly appeared at the fortress, or why she went up.
Miss Clorand, you say? I must go think.
You're still too weak, Fremine. You can go after you've...
Miss Lynette is right. I believe Miss Clorand will stay here as a guest for another few days, so there's no need to...
A guest? Then I can assume Wriotheslay was the one who invited her to...
You should ask His Grace about that. He'll be able to explain better than me.
Entendido, irei falar com ele.
Yeah, it's about time he actually told us what's going on. Wanna come with us, Liddy?
No, please go on without me. I don't want to leave just yet.
Tudo bem.
The logical part of my brain is aware that we're safe right now, but I still can't bring myself to leave.
Understood. Then, let's just...
In that case, I'll leave the infirmary to you. The Traveler and I are going to head out for now.
Thank you.
Ok. Ai, gente, desceu até um olho da minha lágrima. Ai, calma aí. Festa do chá está boa?
Excuse me.
I take it Mr. Fremine's condition has stabilized?
Of course. I wouldn't have left the infirmary.
I've been expecting those two, but might I inquire as to the purpose of your visit?
I wanted to check up on Miss Clorand.
Mostly fine, I think.
If you don't mind, I'd like to perform another quick physical exam.
All right. Thank you for looking out for me.
Well, want to explain yourself right?
Of course, but I'm not partial to the word choice of explain. How about enlighten?
Ah, é claro. Então, por favor, esclareça até não poder mais.
Where should I begin? How about you start by asking me any questions you have? You can start with...
Then Paimon will begin. Did you know about Lenny's goal?
No. I just knew they were Fatui operatives sent to the fortress by the Knave. As for their specific goals, I only figured those out as you made progress on your investigation.
You managed to monitor and stay ahead of them even though you didn't know what they were trying to do?
They came here with ulterior motives. I'm quite adept at discerning what that kind of behavior signals.
Por que você não os impediu?
Initially, I thought their goal was just to investigate Child's disappearance. Linny suggested that I had deliberately let him escape. But in truth, I didn't really do anything special to help or hinder him while he was here. Everything he did, from finding helpers to leaving this place, he did on his own. Of course, it's inevitable that the Knave would make a big deal out of her fellow Harbinger's unexplained disappearance. I'm also quite curious about where that Harbinger went. So I figured I might as well let the Fatui do their own investigative work. All I care about is the answer.
So you were hoping Lenny's group would just do your work?
You make it sound like that's a bad thing. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. I assume that Fremine has told you already, the ratio of primordial seawater around the fortress of Meripede is on the rise. The Forbidden Zone has always been Lenny's target, and you got roped into that investigation after running into him. I began to intervene out of concern for your safety, and also to prevent the fortress from becoming entangled in...
Are the rumors true? That you're also a former criminal?
Why would you put it like that? Isn't staying here all day and serving as the manager of the fortress a kind of sentence unto itself? Another form of prison? I just happen to have some support from the rest of the inmates.
Oh, right.
Me, of course. I paid her good mora to come down to the fortress for some field work. As a champion duelist, Miss Clorand could be considered to be an independent party. I needed to find an exceptionally capable person to help me get through the impending crisis.
And saving Fremine was part of...
You can think of it like that, yes. Credit where credit is due, that boy is quite adept at diving. Had conditions not been as hostile as they were, he probably would have found the missing Harbinger already.
Então a zona proibida realmente existe. O que há lá dentro?
That's not something you should be asking after. Neuvillette only asked you to... All I need to prove to you is that the Forbidden Zone had nothing to do with the Harbinger's disappearance. That should be clear now that...
But we've already uncovered that there's something wrong with the infirmary. And we've answered a bunch of questions that you threw at us.
You make a compelling case. Do you really want to know the answer that...
Yeah, Paimon really wants to know.
Even if the truth may not be pleasant?
Sim.
Follow me.
Essa doação. Me diga. What's the problem? What's the problem? Ah, claro, você tem um porão secreto. Você não vai matar a gente, não.
There's a hidden door here?
Nos conte o seu segredo.
Stand on the central plate.
Wait, is there a secret mechanism or... Whoa!
Com todo sobre a plataforma, ela começa a descer lentamente.
So, this is the Forbidden Zone? Honestly, for a place so well
E
hidden,
aquilo
Heaven sure doesn't see anything special. What a huge door!
There are 3 such isolation gates in total. Generally speaking, I'm the only one who's allowed to go inside. Hence the name, Forbidden. Am I correct to assume you're going to run on back and tell your little Fatui friend?
Well, Paimon wasn't thinking of...
Well, I'd advise you wait until you've seen the whole truth of this place for yourself before deciding whether or not to.
Continue explorando.
Huh, so there's a switch on the side.
Stand back.
Oh, é realmente pra ninguém passar.
Whoa, they all just went up one by one.
O que é aquilo no meio da
Have a
sala?
look.
Vamos parar com as músicas malignas. Essa sala é realmente bem vazia. O que é bem estranho por si só. Também há um dispositivo no meio dela que se parece com algum tipo de comporta
I've
gigante.
been interested in what lies beyond that gate ever since I assumed leadership of the fortress of Meripede. Of course, it would be unwise to recklessly open it, but it'd also be risky and negligent to simply ignore any potential danger that could be behind it. The readings on that dashboard have not budged since the day when I first laid eyes on this place. But over the past year, the needle has crept upwards from its original position, likely because some parameter it's been tracking has changed, if only infinitesimally. Normally I would have ignored it, but I happened to have some free time when I noticed it, so I investigated. Any guesses what the reading could be tracking?
A pressão da água.
Very reasonable guesses. I've considered both of those as well. Unfortunately, our dashboard is tracking something less ordinary. The temperature should vary with weather and climate changes, so for something that rarely shifts, the water pressure is more likely. We ran a few tests to increase the pressure from the outside, but later on a few more possibilities occurred to me, such as a potential connection with the Primordial Sea. I began to make a few preparations based on that hypothesis. Over the past few days, the needle has moved again. With that, and the symptoms that Fremine displayed after leaving the fortress, I can now confidently conclude that the readings represent the concentration of primordial seawater in this...
The concentration of primordial seawater?
And that is precisely the problem. We're at the bottom of the sea, and now we're surrounded by toxic seawater. Somehow, primordial seawater got mixed in, and the concentration is steadily rising.
A água do Mar Primordial está constantemente vazando para o mar?
Yes.
But forget about the two of us. Not even Novelette knows where the primordial sea could be, much less where we could find and plug a leak. Oh.
Seems like you've figured it out. I believe the primordial sea lies directly beneath this sluice gate. For some reason, the primordial seawater levels have risen. The indicators are now red. Although the gate still stands, some primordial seawater has already leaked out and mixed into this. If this continues, soon it will no longer be able to hold back the primordial sea at all.
E se o Mar Primordial está vazando, se essa comporta for destruída, toda a Fontaine será destruída junto.
Yeah, you know what the legends say. If this place falls, then everyone in Fontaine will be turned into puddles in the span of a night.
But that's just too weird. Why would the Fortress of Meripede be built right above a sluice gate for the primordial sea?
Your expression tells me you think this might be part of a vast, complicated conspiracy. To be honest, you might find it's just that the secret of the Forbidden Zone had been long forgotten by the nation before I rediscovered it with my research. There's no single founder of the Fortress of Meripede in any traditional sense. What we know about its history has been left to us by the people who used to live here. When the previous Hydro Archon, Egeria, ruled the land, all convicted criminals from Fontaine were exiled. The people drove the criminals away like a wolf pack. The criminals received no sympathy of any kind from the people. They were exiled to the desolate seaside, where they experienced only pain. Some of them began to repent and prayed to the Hydro Archon, asking if there was still anything they could do. The Hydro Archon took pity on them and said, "You may go guard my secret, deep underneath the waves. And so, leaning on the power of the Hydro Archon, they gathered underneath the sea and began to build a fortress. They became a community down there in the deeps. And over the years, as the number of exiles increased, more and more people joined the community. When the first group of exiles died, they left the yet unfinished fortress to their successor. The Hydro Archon continued to lend her support, allowing the fortress and what it stood for to continue growing ever larger. Before long, this dark underwater fortress became the sinner's only home. And with that, the people here stopped referring to the fortress as a prison. They saw themselves as repenting sinners who would regain their freedom once they had sufficient. But as time went on, people also realized that the fortress was a lonely place. Once they had gotten used to life here, they could no longer feel comfortable living in the overworld. Once they had finished serving their sentences, some people left and some others chose to stay. They'd find some idle position and let their withered souls fade away with the ancient secrets of the past. After many, many centuries, few people still remember the reason for the fortress's founding. Now they just see it as an integral pillar of Fontanian society, as the place where now and again, researchers manage to break one law or another and live out their days in the fortress. I learned all this from an elderly historian. Everyone else just...
But now you know every part of that history is true.
Indeed. It's just as the prophecy says. If this gate fails, then everyone will be dissolved into the sea.
Então, profecia realmente tem uma fundação real. Você acredita em
To be
profecias?
frank, not really. But sadly, that hasn't stopped this. Prophecies are troublesome things. Just hearing one will create the first wave of panic. Seeing signs of it will bring about the second, and actually witnessing it in real time, the third.
Então, como o Duque de Meropide, o que você planeja fazer quanto a
Let's
isso?
go somewhere else. This is it.
É aqui.
Your Grace, perfect timing. The results from our last round...
Wait, Jurier, he's not alone. Huh? Lorvine
Yeah.
and Jurier?
No need to panic, you two. I've already told...
What? After you warned us not to tell a single...
I'm skeptical as well. Are you sure they are trustworthy?
The results speak for themselves, don't they? These two may already know more than you could ever imagine.
All right then, if Your Grace insists.
They seem harmless enough, so I'll trust them for now.
Well, how about some reintroductions? This is Jurier, one of the highest-ranked researchers from the Fontaine Research Institute. He used to work under Edwin.
Sim, já.
Good. Saves me a bit of time. Edwin's main areas of research were archaeum and gravimeters. As his assistant, Jurier is quite familiar with them as well. I hired him to be my tech...
You want to blow up...
What a lovely idea. I'm already imagining it in my head.
Gotta admit, I'm tempted as well.
Guys, focus! Focus!
That taskmaster over there is Miss Lorvine, and is also one of my technical consultants. While Jurier used to...
Ooh, are they together?
Isso realmente era necessário.
See, everyone keeps asking this question. Are you too sure you're not a couple and just using your work as a convenient cover?
Your Grace, I am not in a relationship with...
If I dated her, I'd officially be madder than Edwin.
Jeez, forget I said anything then. Follow me.
Whoa, there's another door that goes right up.
Your constant amazement makes it seem like the fortress can do anything.
Eu tô esperando que isso seja verdade.
But Paimon really thinks everything's super cool.
Isso é apenas uma sala normal?
Well, let's spice it up a bit. And here you go.
Isso é...
What a huge ship! This is also a production zone that Paimon's never seen before. What's...
How much do you know about Fontanian history?
Nem pouco?
Not much at all.
Well, then maybe you haven't heard the story of ancient Lemuria. To give you a quick rundown, Fontaine used to be, according to legend, the Lemurian king Remus came to this land after being inspired by divine revelation and found the seer Sibila, who had taken on the form of a golden bee. Taking the golden bee with him and riding on a huge ship, the Fortuna, he called his nation Lemuria and used the Fortuna to incessantly search for new tribes and...
There's a ship in this story too?
Where there's water, there'll be ships. People believe that hope can always be found at the end of a...
Do you believe too?
To a point, I think. As you've already seen, I have a whole factory's worth of labor, materials, and technology at my disposal. Certainly can't hurt to give it a try, so the moment I began to speculate that the Primordial Sea might lie underneath the gate...
Were you inspired by the legendary...
maybe. Fontanians need something to hold on to cope with the impending disaster.
Esse é um plano imenso, por que você não pode compartilhar ele com todo mundo?
For the workers to find out the truth behind this ship, riots would destroy the fortress faster than any catastrophe. As the fortress's administrator, I'd never make such a reckless call. Alright, that's enough talking for now. I'll need another 3 cups of tea to soothe my throat. Do you have any... Seems like you're good. Come on, I'll take you back.
O maluco fez a porra num barco inteiro pra casa Fontaine funde. Meu irmão... Furina, vamos trabalhar? Vamos?
I'll leave you here for now.
Oh,
No worries. But don't forget, it's up to you whether or not you want to share what you just saw.
Quer dizer que minhas ações agora irão decidir os próximos passos que o grupo de Linnea irá tomar. Em outras palavras, se eu quiser contar a verdade ao Linnea, eu preciso fazê-lo entender que não podemos nos dar ao luxo de criar conflitos no momento. Sim, iremos.
Great. I look forward to what happens next.
Voltamos.
Welcome back. Do you want a cup of tea?
how can you be so much like Wriotheslay, always drinking
Actually, now that you meant while I was sedated, I could still barely hear 2 people talking next to me. They were discussing everything, from the leave...
Must have been Wriotheslay and sejam.
Yeah, I heard 1 male voice and 1 female, so...
I really can't make sense of...
So, Traveler, Paimon, were you able to learn anything?
Yeah, he explained.
Very well. Then, would you mind checking your answers against my speculations?
Está se sentindo melhor agora, vida, hein?
Yeah, I took the time to rest.
Nobody else is around, and Miss Sejam is also busy with something or other. So...
Alright, then I'll posit my theories. I asked myself 3 questions. Firstly, why was Fremine affected by the primordial seawater? It was because he dove into the sea. My theory is, the long-lost...
Whoa, he's good.
That's Arlecchino.
Secondly, Wriothesley's attitude changed dramatically during the course of our stay here. He ignored us completely at first, then I spent quite a long time thinking about this. If he has been monitoring the Fatui since the very beginning, he probably... What's more, the fortress of Meripede is not part of Fontaine's court system, nor does it report to Udex Nervulet. As long as the fortress doesn't do anything about Master Child's disappearance, Father can use it to pressure the Fontaine authorities. And while the 2 factions are pitted against each other, Wriotheslay will be free to move, but if I had to guess, he probably has something that he's working on himself. It's likely related to the secret of the infirmary, but I just can't think of what it could be.
You're super smart.
Thanks so much. Then, if Wriotheslay does have a plan, what could it be? All I know for now is that his plan probably has something to do with the changing nature of the... that can't be the full extent of what he's doing. There's probably a secret passageway behind the block in the infirmary, and there's something big in the fortress that most people here... I don't have enough information, so I have no idea what his chip might be.
Depois de muito pensar, você divide informações que acabou de aprender com Linnea. Enquanto compartilhava o que viu, você enfatiza que agora não é hora para essas brigas.
I can't believe it.
É, realmente tá rolando.
The sea will engulf everyone.
Could Wriotheslay have wanted to meet Father to figure out a way to deal with... If you remember, I once mentioned that Father sees the House of the Hearth as her base of operations, and she truly wants to resolve the crisis. But how could
Or perhaps he didn't know, and just wanted to bring Father over to his side? Which could be...
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I understand your concerns as well, Traveler. I'll figure out a way to pass this on to our... The 2 of you have already aided us far too much. We probably wouldn't be standing... If you ever need anything else going forward, please come to the House of the Hearth at any time. Though you may not share the sentiment, after all that we've gone through together, the 3 of us basically see you as family now.
You have my gratitude.
Thank you for protecting Linnea when it really mattered. And thank you for sharing the secrets of the fortress with us.
Why are you being so formal all of a sudden?
Devemos trabalhar juntos novamente se for necessário.
Given your strength, You might not need our help at all. But if you are ever in danger, we will try our best to protect you.
Aw, the sound of that makes Paimon feel all warm and...
O que foi isso?
Paimon...
Ah, novidade.
Oh, you've done so much already. Go get some...
Alright, then we'll catch you guys another time.
No final das contas, o que vai se dissolver pelas águas é a minha carteira.
Come on, let's go pick up ours as well. Traveler and Paimon, over here. Are you here for dinner too, Miss? And I'm taking the opportunity to prepare Miss Cloran's dinner as... Huh. You're right. What would you like to eat?
Podemos escolher?
Yep, you can. I've already talked to our chef, Mr. Wolsey. It's all on me today, so you can get
Você vai se arrepender disso. Então eu vou querer o que tem de mais gostoso.
Me too. Don't forget. No problem.
Depois de um tempo, as refeições que ele pediu chegam na mesa. Sweeney também trouxe algumas bebidas. O gosto é um pouco estranho, mas ela insiste que são muito nutritivas. Apesar de terem um gosto horrível, os shakes pelo menos ajudam a relaxar.
So delicious.
Fantástico. O jantar de graça é o melhor.
Is this how it feels to be freeloaders? Wait a sec. Feeling full yet? How's the food? Delicious.
Com exceção do shake, tava tudo uma delícia.
I'm so glad to see you all so happy. Oh, see the expression on your face just now? The muscle here. Sejouin, do you do this to help your patients or to better understand human beings? A bit of both, I suppose. I'm a melazine, which means I'm very different from human beings. I must know what you're thinking if I want to take good. You're really good at taking care of people. Even though you're so short, you... Really? You're reminded of an older sister? That's great to hear. Oh, and what did you mean back in Wriothesley's office? When you said, oh, that. I just asked His Grace to look out for those children, especially that diver boy. I was getting a bit worried. Thankfully, Clorand is very strong and managed to save him in the nick of time. His Grace also sealed the pipes after Clorand left. To make sure, although the path was blocked, we still stationed some guards there to stop anyone from approaching. Oh, I really wish Monsieur Nervula would come down here more often too. I feel like he'd like it here, with all the darkness and chaos.
Como é que é? Mas isso não faz sentido nenhum. É difícil imaginar Nervula fora do seu escritório.
Get a good night's rest, you two.
Obrigado.
Out of my way! Get out of my way! What happened? Why is everyone running? No idea, but something must have happened. Stop asking!
Quem está gritando? Paimon ainda quer dormir. Que som é esse? Paimon, acorde, precisamos sair e ver o que está acontecendo. Cadê a cutscene? Verdade, não teve cutscene ainda! Não, não teve cutscene! Fudeu!
What happened? Why is everyone running around? Hey, what are you doing?
No time to explain, mate. Goodbye.
Hey, what? What's wrong with these people? They won't...
They're here! Yeah! There you are! Oh, thank goodness!
Ah, meu Deus.
Quisto and Laveroon, do you know what happened here?
We came here especially to inform you. Something seems to have gone terrible. Laveroon was saying you two are new here and you don't have many friends, so you might slip through the cracks. Haven't you heard all the stories like that? An evacuation is successfully completed.
Wait, weren't you the
Meu
one who brought
Deus.
that up?
Hey, shut up!
Okay, whatever. The point is, you should come with us.
Vossa Alteza disse mesmo para evacuar para o exterior?
Yeah, he said to get as far away as possible, upwards and outwards.
Quer dizer que seja lá o que aconteceu lá embaixo. Ou não, a comporta não está bem lá embaixo?
Oh no, it can't be that thing!
Whoa, wait, what?
Vocês dois não venham atrás.
We have to go find the Duke! You two just go and get out! Go on without us!
Hey, hey!
A gente não morre pra água primordial, vocês sim.
Attention, please evacuate upwards and outwards, upwards and outwards. If you're already at the topmost layer, then try to move as far outwards as possible.
Violet. Não teve cutscene ainda, agora que eu me toquei. Vai dar ruim. Clorinde.
They're here.
Just like I said.
Que isso, gente?
You're just in time. But be ready to run.
Hora de meter o pé.
Three, two, one.
This won't hold it for long. Find Neuvillette. Tell him the defenses are about to collapse.
Then what will happen to you?
Until he arrives, we're the last line of defense.
Acha Neuvillette, gente. Acha ele, rápido.
The gate. How long do you think it'll hold?
That depends on us.
Mano, tá tudo dando errado.
Neuvillette, why are you here?
Traveler, I need you to head to the Opera House immediately. Farina will soon be meeting with the knave there. You must protect Farina and make sure she doesn't spend too much time alone.
Certo, você pode me explicar todo o resto mais tarde.
Will do. You have my sincerest.
E lá embaixo, você vai resolver o problema.
Look, there are a ton of Fatui and Palais Mermonia. Are you two the traveler in Paimon? Monsieur Nerf, though I'm sure he's already explained, this should be a mostly cordial conversation, unlikely to give rise
Farei
to
o
violence.
possível.
But it
Ai, meu Deus do céu, o mundo tá acabando lá embaixo. Tem uma bomba aqui embaixo, gente. Ela chegou a ficar aliviada.
Oh, so you two are the honored guests Miss Farina mentioned.
Eu mesmo, prazer.
Of course, of course. How could they not attend a meeting such as this? I must always have 2 or more guests at my dessert table. Otherwise, the occasion would be too lonely and unbecoming.
It is my pleasure to make your acquaintance, traveler. I have heard much of your accomplishments.
E com conquista ela quer dizer arrebentar um Fatui, sumir com o outro da existência e matar mais um. Então essa é a serva, a chefe da Casa da Lareira e o pai dos irmãos do Linei. Ela realmente não parece ser fácil de lidar. Também é um prazer te conhecer.
Perhaps you two are unaware of how Miss Farina and I do things. You see, we actually recently agreed to get together for tea. See this? This is a limited type of confectionery that Miss Farina simply adores. There are only 16 slices sold every day.
Ela parece bem amigável, mas isso é só a superfície. Não posso subestimar a serva. Preciso ter cuidado perto dela.
What do you think of this cake?
É bem gostoso e acho que a pai não concorda.
So what Child said was on the mark after all. You do share a taste in desserts with Farina and I.
Espera, Child não teria motivo algum pra dizer algo assim.
I wonder how he's doing nowadays. You must have heard, right? He's suddenly gone missing. I'm really worried about his safety, you know. Here's to hoping that he's an excellent swimmer.
Tenho fé nas habilidades dele.
Since we're talking about him, I feel like I should add something. His martial prowess really looked certainly pretty impressive, yeah.
Claro que são. Farina parece bem nervosa, deve existir algum tipo de desavença entre ela e a serva.
So you're also familiar with his aptitude for fighting, Miss Farina. Oh, right. I almost forgot. Child was subdued by Iudex Neuvillette right in front of you. Against ordinary people, my colleague would never be on the back foot. But alas, he just never imagined he'd run into such a person. I must express my admiration for Monsieur Neuvillette.
Eu consegui descobrir algumas pistas de seu paradeiro.
Coming from you, that's not surprising.
But I thought you would be happier to hear the news.
Of course, but it's still a bit of a shame. You see, I would have been far happier had I received this news somewhat earlier. As you well know, a long time has...
Well, in any case, there's no need to worry.
Oh. And just how do you know that?
Because we found evidence that proved he left the Fortress of...
And where did he go after leaving the fortress?
Well...
Oh não, que Paimon disse nos deixou em uma posição ruim.
The Fortress of Maripede lies deep beneath the waves. Unless he pranced right out of the main gate, he must have had to swim for it. Do you have any proof that he surfaced safely?
Não temos. Mas também não existem evidências que ele se feriu ou foi morto.
That is good news at least. His sister Tonya sent a letter to Fontaine not too long ago. Since he was unfortunately unavailable, I picked it up on his behalf. Do you have any idea how he usually writes back to his family? Dear Tonya, your letter made me feel like we were still enjoying our time in Snezhnaya together. I'm currently admiring the scenery on the street.
Ela está aumentando a pressão. Não tenho certeza se irei conseguir convencê-la, mas pelo menos posso tentar distraí-la da Frina. Isso me parece bom, sim.
All letters tend to follow the same few formats anyway, right? As long as the contents are accurate, it doesn't matter so much how it's written or how it's...
Frina, tá tudo bem?
Hold on. The water in the teacup is...
I suppose this is also a sign of things to come.
Huh? I don't quite understand what you're trying to say.
Have we entered into the next stage of the prophecy?
Eita.
My thanks to you both. I will take it from here.
Sure you don't need a hand?
Quite sure.
Certeza absoluta.
Wow. So, what's your secret, huh? Let me guess. Nah, who knows? Maybe it's just your sense of responsibility.
Sounds about right.
Não comentarei. Permanecerei em silêncio.
Day may come when the prophecy is fulfilled and the waters burst forth. But it is not this day. This ancient power could easily obliterate an entire race. A tsunami of fury would unleash endless catastrophe.
Oh, ele selou o negócio.
Sentence is too severe. Forgive me for overruling it.
All right. Seems like the problem inside has been suppressed.
Let me guess. We're safe for now.
Indeed. But only for now.
I win this bet. You owe me a present.
Very well. It was indeed just as you said.
You made a bet?
We made a bet on the size of your entourage. Cloran thought you wouldn't come down by yourself.
I figured you would have at least brought a few people along for appearance's sake. It appears I underestimated just how confidential the mission was.
Shouldn't you have gotten used to confidential missions by now? That's just how the courts operate.
So what gift must the loser give? Tea?
He already has tons of tea in his office. I'm thinking about a set of legal codices.
It wouldn't happen to be a dig at my lack of legal awareness, would it?
Well, I'm sure His Grace doesn't consider the fortress to be outside the law.
I was under the impression the residents of a place like this would be uninterested in the legal codices.
That was obviously a joke. Anyway, you've still got some unfinished business to attend to in the overworld, correct?
No need to stay here if you have a pressing matter. We all know you can't leave Palais Marmonia for long.
Thank you. I hope everything went smoothly with the Fatui Harbinger.
Não muito.
I must say, we've spent long enough playing house.
E?
Miss Farina, as the Hydro Archon, I am sure you understand the exact meaning of the phenomenon we just witnessed. Or should I say, that's what I originally thought. But looking at your expression, was I wrong? And you haven't a clue?
What are you trying to say?
At this point, I don't think there's any more need to speak as diplomatic representatives. Allow me to speak to you now as just a Fontanian. You know the prophecy by heart, and also that every part of it is being proven true. Yet, here you are, relaxing, drinking tea, and eating desserts as if it's all nothing more than a few stray bugs in your garden. Do you really think that's acceptable? The prophecy's hanging above our necks like a guillotine. Every faction is looking for a way to either avert the disaster or save their own. Even the orphans of the House of the Heart have devoted everything to saving their homeland. But you? It beggars belief just how nonchalant and carefree you have been. From the very beginning, you, the god Focalors, you have utterly failed to take action.
You're wrong. I've never ignored the prophecy, nor have I just been passing the time in self-indulgence. Retract your accusation and stop doubting the wisdom of the gods with such absurd conjectures.
I am not alone in my doubts, you know. All the children of Fontaine may be harboring the exact same thoughts right now. Oh, great Hydro Archon. How are you going to save them? Save us? How are the people you've sworn to protect supposed to survive in a land that will soon disappear beneath the waves?
I have my ways, and I've been working on them for all this time. Even if you look down upon me, you have no right to judge me. Fontaine will be saved. Even if I still cannot see the true future right now, as long as I continue on as I am, I will be able to hold my head up high.
Farina não está agindo como de costume. Ela realmente está refutando as acusações da serva. Ela está falando sério, não está de fingimento.
Then I ask you, Miss Farina, just what have you been working on? Where can we see it and what is it doing?
Então tudo isso foi uma mentira ou ela realmente não pode nos dizer? Ela está tão confiante agora há pouco, mas já murchou feito um balão estourado?
My machinations are just like the prophecy itself. They will only reveal themselves at the fated time. It is just that beings like yourselves are unable to
I see. As a god, the proof of your labor always lies beyond prying mortal eyes. Allow me to be so bold as to ask another way. Would it be possible for you to tell us the parts of your plan that are not confidential? Such as your
an emergency response.
Oh, that look in your eyes. Have you not even prepared one of the...
The emergency response plan is also strictly confidential.
Then allow me to jog your memory. Miss Farina, what is the purpose of your Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal? And what do you plan to do with the massive amounts of indemnity?
The oratrice? It's just like it appears to be.
Tudo rindo.
So you also have no idea. If I'm not mistaken, someone's using it to prepare for something. But unfortunately, it would seem that someone is not you, Miss Farina. I first caught wind of this when Linny tried to investigate the oratrice in the Opera House. You see, even just getting close to the core contaminated him with an extremely large amount of indemnity. But even if that had nothing to do with you, then what could you possibly be working on? Oh, great. Oh, right. I almost forgot. Udex Nouvillette is not at the tea party with us today. Miss Farina, I suppose you must have ordered him away to take care of some troublesome business.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. Please keep it a secret for me.
Of course I will. Although, I must say, Miss Farina, you seem Oh, very well. Let's stop that conversation here. There are still a few slices of cake left, so please, help yourselves, everyone.
Não pude intervir, não sei nada sobre esses tópicos, nem sei o que Nouvillette foi fazer. Se eu tivesse que adivinhar, ele provavelmente foi lidar com o Mar Primordial, mas ele vai conseguir lidar com tudo sozinho? E a Farina está falando a verdade ou não?
Traveler, I heard that you were recently commissioned to handle a few matters on behalf of the Udex. Why don't you take an extra slice of cake? Those who work. You too, Paimon.
Thank you. Paimon will take you up on that.
Seria estranho. Serva continuou a mudar de tópico e mencionar várias questões menos importantes.
Oh, Paimon's super full. That cake was great. If it's on my tea table, it must be of the highest quality. Yes, and we must...
You're welcome. I'm sure the cake also felt greatly honored to be featured at Miss Farina's table. And I was merely catering to Miss Farina's tastes, seeking a chance to check. It is getting late. Why don't we call it a day? There are still a few matters that...
Very well. We'll end it here.
Mind seeing me off, Traveler? We could use the opportunity to discuss Child before I must be on my...
Paimon's coming too!
Coitada da Farina, gente, sinceramente. Eu tenho pena dela, coitadinha. Eu não sei se ela tem noção da situação. Deixa eu ver como é que ela tá.
The tea party. Why are you looking at me like that?
Sinceramente, não culpo ela. Muita gente fala que ela marcou inútil e tal, mas por outro lado, eu vejo mais alguém que tá tentando lidar com tudo, com o peso que foi jogado sobre ela sem saber de nada. Não é culpa dela ela não conseguir lidar. Que realmente ela nunca esteve preparada. Ela ganhou assim de presente o cargo de Arconte, agora se vira.
I'm glad that you were willing to come with me. Of course, Child was just an excuse. I have no interest in your dealings with him.
That's what Paimon thought.
O que você quer falar?
You lent your aid to the children of the House of the Hearth. As their father, I would like to express my gratitude.
Não imaginava que você quisesse falar sobre isso.
Do I look like an irresponsible father to you? The House of the Hearth is very important to me. You should know that I care deeply about my children.
Tem algo mais que você quer dizer?
That was all. Formal topics should be discussed in formal settings, and informal topics in informal settings. I know you just returned from the fortress of Meripede. Relax. I have no intention of trying to get anything out of you. Linny, Lynette, and Fremine are still there, and I trust their judgment and abilities.
They've all been working very hard and have always done all they can to fight back against anyone who tried to stop them. Especially
You mean Wriotheslay. He's a tricky one to deal with. It's unfortunate that Linny's so eager to prove himself that he can't learn to rely on others, including me. By the way, and you can just consider this a bit of idle gossip, but what's your impression of Farina? You are outside of our disputes, and the freest person in all of Fontaine, able to move around most easily. Allow me.
And that's everything that happened during the trial. Master Child was declared guilty and immediately...
Didn't he say he was coming here on vacation? Does he not feel an ounce of shame for all the trouble he has caused? Forget it. He did give us an opportunity. I will be meeting someone short.
Do you require help with any preparation?
No need. I will take care of it myself. I need to meet with Furina, the Hydro Archon. She is at the heart of Fontaine. But what's fascinating about her...
Oh? Come over here, you... You dare to run from me? Stop right this instant!
My goal is just to discover the location of the Gnosis. But I didn't expect the chance to approach Furina to be handed to me on a silver platter. This is so easy, it's actually making me... Anything left unguarded is usually just bait. But no one will blame someone for taking the bait. After all, from the moment it was attached to the hook, the bait is meant to be sacrificed. It's just as I guessed in the second before I struck. The Hydronosis is not currently held by... In fact, this Archon doesn't seem like a god at all. And I sense that she's under some kind of curse.
Who are you? And what are you?
The fear in her pupils is genuine. So perhaps she's not bait after all. Either way, targeting her has lost all meaning. I left the scene with ease. Nobody came looking for me, and nobody could serve as a witness to my near assassination of Focalor. I suspect even Furina dares not mention this incident to anyone. Not long after, my informants confirmed what I had guessed. After returning to her quarters, Furina quietly cried alone. She was so scared that she could not sleep that night. There's no doubt that there's something wrong with her. I began to entertain the possibility that she is not the true Hydro Archon. I have to find the Gnosis. If the Neuvillette hypothesis is correct, he is probably in possession of it. Alternatively...
Yes, Father.
My dear children...
News from the Fortress of Meripede. Master Child has gone missing.
Probably the handiwork of that rot.
I'm afraid so.
This is a good opportunity. The value of a Harbinger is much higher than most would imagine. We now have an excuse to exert diplomatic pressure on the Fontaine authorities. Set up a meeting for me. I would like to meet the Hydro Archon and you. Oh, and I have an addition.
Yes, Father.
Tartaglia's disappearance was not a part of my plan, but I can use it to make a breakthrough. With this as my excuse, I can ask for an official audience and continue my The initiative belongs to the House of the Hearth. My wish to investigate the Fortress of Meripede will be a front. Lenny and his group will be responsible for the actual.
Tenho muita pena da Furina, sinceramente. Mas ela vai se provar uma Arconte digna, eu sei disso, eu confio. Mihoyo não vai deixar isso desse jeito.
You should know the rest. Lenny's group is quite close to you, so they wouldn't have hidden anything from you.
You attacked the Hydro Arc?
It wouldn't mean anything, even if you shouted it from the rooftops. After all...
alright then.
I've now had 2 chances to enjoy tea with Furina. I have to say, the leadership of Fontaine is even more inscrutable than I had imagined. I once surmised that Iudex Neuvillette must be the Hydro Archon, but now, that doesn't seem right to me
chegou a essa
either.
conclusão?
I am a servant of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Over my years of service, I've learned how a real Archon conducts and carries themselves. Whether Iudex Neuvillette or Furina, neither fits the bill. It's hard to imagine either of them. Of course, that is all just how I feel. Gut feelings often do not require justification. It is, however, quite amusing to me that after all my years working in intelligence gathering, I've come to realize I am at a complete loss regarding the identity of the god of the land of my... Don't you think Fontaine is quite intriguing? A catastrophe looms, yet many secrets have yet to rise to this. Ultimately, though, one must survive in order to do anything else. Should the need arise, I would be happy to cooperate with you. You don't need to commit to anything right now, of course. I have a feeling that the situation will continue to evolve, and as your name is often connected with noble deeds, I'm sure we will work together someday.
Neuvillette.
He certainly returned quickly. You must want...
Neuvillette?
For now, yes. But this issue will prove quite thorny in the long term. I'm concerned that sooner or later the prophesized events will occur. Thank you for protecting Farina. To put it simply, I used my power to force back the Primordial Sea and reseal
Aqui do
the
nosso
sluice gate.
lado, a situação foi feita bem feia.
So as expected, the knave has turned up the pressure on Farina. She's trying to feel her out.
Posso fazer algumas
I'm still
perguntas?
unsure as to her motives. Permission granted.
Você é forte o suficiente para repelir o Mar Primordial?
Whoa. It can't be that you're the real Hydro Archon, right? You can't tell us? Then...
If by the phrase, you guys, you are referring to Farina and I, then although I'm not sure just what you are trying to imply, I must clarify that I do not share her positions on a multitude of topics.
O que você sentiu na Fortaleza Meropide? Você conseguiu proteger quem precisava ser protegido?
I believe so. The fortress has a long and complex history. It is... And now, another catastrophe will soon be upon us. I'm
Huh? Why
O
is
céu
it...
fica cheio de nuvens escuras, a chuva fica pesada. Rapidamente passa de uma chuva fraca para uma chuva forte. E logo antes de chover, Neuvillette havia mencionado sua tristeza. Pensando sobre aquela lenda que o Freminet disse, dizem que já existia um dragão de água em Fontaine. Sempre que ele chorava, os céus ficavam nublados e a chuva caída. Espera, Neuvillette, você...
You may be closer to the truth than you think.
Oh?
Ele é o rei dragão da água.
The dragon of... what? Huh?
Please do not be so surprised. Farina?
Neuvillette, você está ouvindo?
Neuvillette!
My apology.
We were just guessing randomly. We didn't guess right, did we? You're not actually the dragon sovereign of...
You guessed correctly. I sincerely hope you'll be able to...
right, of course. We'll definitely help you keep it a secret. There's still...
Please, go ahead.
Well, if you are the dragon sovereign of water, and you were able to force back... Then since Fontaine's prophecy is all about seawater, couldn't you just use your power...
None of the currently living dragon sovereigns in the world, myself included, possess our full dragonhood. They say that when the first usurper arrived on Tivat, they seized a part of the dragon's power. Today, that stolen power is the...
There are 7 elemental archons and 7 matching dragons.
The dragon sovereign of water who lived through that era perished a long time ago. As their successor, I know far less of that. In any case, I believe I will not be able to do much unless the Archon disappears and returns their elemental authority to me. Given the status quo, however, I would recommend finding another way to deal with the prophet.
Oh, so even you can't solve...
I still have some urgent matters to attend to at my office. If you have any more questions regarding ancient history, you are welcome.
Please go right ahead. There's a place that Paimon wants to go too. Traveler, why don't we pay another visit to the Fortress of Meropide?
Até mais, Mr. Neuvillette.
We'll see you another time.
Take care.
Cara, não sei nem o que dizer, sinceramente.
Now guess, what suit will this next...
Well, well, look who it is.
Traveler,
Hello.
Looks like you're recovering nicely from an...
Thanks to everyone's... Oh, right. I managed to work up the courage to think...
Whoa, how did...
She told me that it was nothing. It was as if saving a life...
She didn't want to stress you out, that's all. She's right.
Yeah.
Okay, but check this out. We went back to the opera.
You meant father? Did she say anything?
She said a few things that were, a bit hard to understand.
Foi meio surpreendente.
Her attitude towards you is even better than what we'd imagined. You should believe her. She has her own way of doing things, and she'll do everything in her power to help those she considers close, which now might also include...
Father is very capable, and also trustworthy.
Oh, Paimon just remembered that she thought Linny was a bit too proud as well. She said that you should learn how to
Got it.
That does sound like something my father would say.
Hey!
Are you going to stay here for the next...
Looks like it, yeah.
Excellent. I will host a...
For real? Then Paimon wants another serving of cake.
Another implies that you were already served some delicious cake while you were up there. Well, next time, you're going to have tea and snacks.
Ah, olha lá. Um belo salinho que você tem aqui, né? Convenhamos. O que você quer falar comigo?
Do my eyes deceive me, or did I just see two inmates come back after making it to the surface? Some strange winds blowing of late.
We wanted to see how the fortress is doing. Is everything still...
We're fine, for the most part. Neuvillette came down.
If that's the case, why don't you just ask him to stay here?
Oh, yeah, what a brilliant plan. Let's go convince the Udex himself to exchange the Courts of Fontaine for a puddle of water in the middle of nowhere.
É melhor não.
He came here in a hurry and left without even stopping for a cup of tea. He did remember to take Miss Sigewinne's gift with him, though.
He sure sounds super busy.
Miss Clorinde has left as well. She also took her gift from Miss Sigewinne.
Were the gifts milkshakes?
Neuvillette got the milkshake. Clorinde received lipstick instead.
Those aren't even remotely...
Well, it's Neuvillette's own fault for making Sigewinne worried about his health by working so much. But besides that, our head nurse is still pretty fond of picking out... Oh, and I have some gifts here for you as well.
Are these from Sigewinne too?
Nope, they're from yours truly. You've already wrapped up your work at the fortress, so you can return to the surface at any time. You haven't yet served your full prison term, however, so you may continue to use your cell until your term is...
For real? Then we could stay here for a really long time.
You may access the cafeteria. Just remember to come complete your paperwork once it's time for your release.
Vamos voltar pro dormitório pra descansar, né?
We're back in our cell again. We're no longer prisoners though, so it really doesn't feel the same.
Finalmente dá pra respirar melhor. Parece que recuperamos nossa liberdade.
Being free sure feels pretty special now.
Paimon, tem alguma coisa que você gostaria de dizer?
How did you know?
Porque você normalmente só desmaia na cama.
Hey, that's not true. All right. Okay, it's like we've now gone to so many places together and become friends with so many people. We've never stopped traveling or stopped meeting new friends. There are so many bad things in the world, and we're just two people, but we've still been solving problems no matter where we go. Isn't that pretty cool?
Somos as melhores aventureiras do mundo.
You're counting Paimon today? Aren't you the only adventurer here?
Ser uma guia também conta.
Let's ask Catherine to give Paimon an adventurer handbook as well. Paimon will also be an adventurer from today. Just got thoughts making Paimon giddy. The last time we fell asleep here, we woke up to a whole mess outside our cell. The primordial seawater nearly rose up. That was so scary. We should be safe now, right?
Vamos ficar bem, não se preocupe, Paimon.
Alright then. Good night to you, traveler.
Boa noite, Paimon. Sabia que a gente ia ter mais uma visão. Child ainda tá lá e esse homem não se afogou ainda? Aproximação do apocalipse concluído. Gente, e assim nós terminamos mais um capítulo. Eu realmente estou ansioso pro próximo arco, pros próximos 2 atos da 4.2, porque, né, provavelmente vai ser a conclusão de toda essa questão da profecia e tal. Eu espero, né? Não creio que tenha muito mais o que estender além da bomba que está por vir. Arlecchino com certeza tá botando uma pressão das pesadas na Furina e ela tá sem muito o que fazer. Muito provavelmente porque ela não tem conhecimento dos seus poderes e nem mesmo ideia do que fazer ao certo, por mais que esteja tentando muito achar uma solução. O caos se aproxima, o próprio apocalipse, como é dito aqui no próprio título desse ato, está próximo e eu tô bem ansioso. Furina vem na 4.2, talvez eu já esteja fazendo um testezinho dela e provavelmente esse vídeo até saia antes dos outros, porque vai ser um videozinho mais curto do que os outros, então é aquilo, né? Se você não é inscrito aqui no canal, já aproveita e se inscreve e ativa o sininho para não perder nenhum dos próximos vídeos, não custa nada. Deixa um like e um comentário do que você está achando, deixa suas teorias aqui embaixo. Se você não assistiu nenhum dos episódios anteriores, clica no cardzinho que tá aparecendo aqui e vai lá assistir, nós temos nossa saga completa pelo arco de Fontaine. E, bem... Eu sou o Pumpkin e até a próxima.